The sun had barely crested the red ridge when I opened my eyes, the ache of the night still heavy in my bones. My head pounded, my ribs burned, and the scent of smoke and wet earth filled my lungs. For a moment I thought I was dead, until I saw her. The Apache woman I'd pulled from the river the night before was sitting beside me, silent as the dawn itself. Her hair hung loose, damp and tangled, the rising light catching streaks of copper and black. She wasn't looking at me. Her eyes were fixed on the horizon, scanning it like she expected the world to come riding over the hills. I tried to sit up, but pain tore through my side, and that's when she turned, calm, sharp, and unafraid. "Don't move," she said in a low voice, her English broken but firm. "You're bleeding again." I blinked, confused. "You stayed?" I asked, my voice rasping like dry bark. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she reached for a strip of leather beside her, tied it around her arm, and pulled a small pouch from her belt. From it she took herbs, ground, dark, bitter-smelling, and pressed them into the wound along my ribs. I hissed through my teeth. "You should have left me," I muttered. "Would have been safer." She didn't even glance up. "You saved me," she said simply. "Now I save you." The wind stirred the grass around us, carrying the faint echo of drums far off, or maybe it was thunder. Out here you could never tell. My mind spun with questions, but her quiet steadiness silenced most of them. There was something in her presence, calm, dangerous, and ancient all at once, that made words feel small. After a while I managed to ask, "Who were they?" She paused, her hands still moving as she tightened the bandage. "Hunters," she said finally. "Not mine, not yours." That's when I realized what she meant. Raiders, the kind that took anything and anyone they could find. Horses, supplies, people. "They'll come back," I said. She nodded once, her gaze drifting again to the horizon. "That's why we must move before night." I tried to stand, but the pain doubled me over. She caught me before I hit the ground, and for a moment her eyes met mine. Dark and steady, full of something I couldn't name. "You talk too much," she said softly, helping me lean against a fallen log. "Rest. I will watch." She turned away then, her hand resting lightly on a knife at her waist, her posture straight and alert. I watched her in silence, wondering who she really was, what she was running from, and why, out of all the men she could have left to die, she'd chosen to stay with me. The sun climbed higher, burning away the mist that had settled over the valley. I drifted in and out of sleep, waking to the sound of her footsteps, the rustle of brush, the faint hum of a tune I didn't recognize. Once I opened my eyes and saw her kneeling in the stream, washing blood from her hands, her reflection rippling in the water like a ghost. She wasn't just surviving, she was enduring, like the land itself. And for the first time since I came west, I wondered if maybe that was what real strength looked like. When I finally managed to speak again, my voice was weak but steady. "Why did you stay?" She didn't answer at first. She just looked down at the knife she carried, turning it slowly in her hands. Then, without looking up, she said, "Because the man who saved me carries the same mark as the one I lost." Her words hit like thunder, quiet, heavy, impossible to ignore. I froze, unsure what she meant. But when she finally met my eyes, I saw the truth there, and a past neither of us could escape. The light had turned gold by the time we left that hollow between the hills. I leaned on a branch she'd cut for me, each step setting fire to the wound in my side. The Apache woman moved ahead, quiet as a shadow, never looking back but somehow knowing I followed. The land stretched wide, red rock, dry riverbeds, and silence that pressed down like weight. Somewhere in that emptiness, danger moved unseen, but she seemed to feel it before it ever came close. Every so often, she'd stop, tilt her head, and listen to the wind, the earth, maybe even the ghosts that lived out here. Then she'd nod, whisper something in her tongue, and we'd keep walking. By noon, the heat hit hard. I asked her name once. She said nothing for a while, then replied, "Nayeli." The way she said it made it sound like a song, short, sharp, and sacred. When I told her mine, she just gave a small nod, as though the name meant little. "You talk too much," she reminded me again, but this time her voice had the faintest trace of a smile. We stopped by a dried-out creek bed where the ground cracked like old leather. She knelt, ran her fingers along the dust, then dug until she struck wet sand. "Here," she said. "Water under." I watched her build a tiny channel, the water seeping up slow and clear. "You always know where to find it?" I asked. She didn't look at me. "The land tells those who listen." We drank in silence. For a while, the only sound was the wind sifting through mesquite branches. Then she looked up at me suddenly. "The mark," she said. "On your chest. Where did you get it?" I frowned, confused, until I remembered the scar that ran from my collarbone down to my ribs, shaped like a lightning bolt. "Gun barrel split," I said. 5 years back. During the Red River fight, her eyes narrowed, studying me. "That's where he died," she said. My throat went dry. "Who?" She hesitated. The answer caught somewhere between anger and grief. "My brother." The air changed then, heavier, sharper, as if the desert itself held its breath. I didn't know what to say. "Nearly," I started, but she cut me off. "He fought the soldiers," she said. "He said they came for peace. They brought fire instead. You wear the same mark he did, the same burn." She looked away, her jaw tight, her hands clenching the knife at her belt. "You could be one of them." Her voice was calm, but the meaning behind it was dangerous. I stepped back, careful not to make it worse. "If I was," I said slowly, "I wouldn't have pulled you from that river." She didn't answer, but her eyes softened just a little, enough to tell me she believed, or wanted to believe. The sun dipped low again, painting the sky blood red. We made camp near an old wagon wreck, half buried in sand. I built a small fire while she tended to the horses we'd found tethered upstream. When she came back, she didn't sit close. She stayed across the flames, her eyes reflecting the firelight, her expression unreadable. "Why did you come west?" she asked finally. I stared into the flames, looking for a place where I could forget. She tilted her head. "Forget what?" I hesitated, then said, "A woman I couldn't save." The silence that followed wasn't cold this time. It was understanding, quiet, shared pain. Later, as the fire burned down to embers, I woke to the sound of her voice. She wasn't talking to me. She was whispering to the night in her own language, soft and melodic, words I didn't know but somehow felt. She held the locket she always kept tied around her wrist and pressed it to her lips. I caught one word, brother. That's when I realized her reason for staying wasn't about me at all. It was about what she needed to know, whether I was the man who'd ended her brother's life or the one who could finally give her peace. When she turned and saw me awake, she didn't flinch or hide. She just looked at me, eyes full of something deeper than anger, something like truth. "If I find that you were there," she said quietly, "you will tell me everything." I nodded. "If I was there," I said, "you deserve to know." She stared at me a long moment, then nodded once. "Tomorrow," she said, "we go to where he fell." Then she turned away, lying down near the dying fire, the glow flickering across her face like a fading memory. I lay back too, staring at the endless dark above, the weight of the past pressing down like the stars themselves.